Hello, good evening. I'm Roger Johnson. Welcome to Wednesday's North West Tonight. Thank you for your company. Our top story tonight. We'll have reaction here to the Chancellor's spring statement. What's the view, for example, from this Warrington factory?
We now know it's just a case of we have to absorb what happened in the budget in the autumn, accept it, move on, which we will do.
The statement did confirm some funding for Barrow, which could create thousands of jobs. We'll have all the details. Also tonight, City bosses defend the travel issues which blighted the second test event at Everton's new stadium. We'll revisit the COVID woodland planted to honour those who died, where new life is blossoming. A roaring success, the motorbike belonging to hairy biker Dave Myers raises thousands as it's auctioned for charity. Lottery winners in more ways than one. The chart toppers from Leon going on tour this summer with Robbie Williams.
He's obviously one of my idols, and yeah, and then now we're just mates, and sometimes I'm in Lidl and he'll FaceTime me.
And after a dry and settled day today, our weather is set to turn a bit more changeable and a little bit fresher over the next few days. A full detailed forecast coming up at the end of the programme.
So more spending cuts, reductions in welfare benefits and pessimistic growth forecasts. The spring statement wasn't the easiest day for the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves. There were views for and against her statement in Parliament. But what about the reaction outside Westminster? Well, our political editor, Annabel Tiffin, has been getting the view today in Warrington.
They make up to 20,000 pre-packed meals a week here at this Warrington firm. But on the menu this lunchtime, fiscal rules, growth figures and difficult choices.
While enabling us to invest alongside business.
Watching on as the Chancellor set out her spring statement, Michelle Laithwaite, owner of Fuel Hub.
What did you think?
Well, there's nothing really new there. No. I think everything that she's said today, we already knew. There's been a lot of talk about the autumn budget, how it's affected us. 1st of April, that's when we all get hit with the national insurance increases, the minimum wage. We now know it's just a case of we have to absorb what happened in the budget in the autumn, accept it, move on, which we will do.
The company has 35 employees. It's a young business wishing to grow. But the growth forecast is gloomy, halved to 1% by the OBR.
There was no mention of taxes or wages in this statement. That was all in last October's budget. But no matter what the Chancellor says or announces, it affects us all one way or another.
Johnny has worked here since Christmas.
I'm carb man, yeah. So I do all the chips, all the sweet potatoes, all the parmentiers.
What would you like the Chancellor to be able to do for you?
Just to steady things out. I think we keep going too much up and then too much down. I think we need to just take a deep breath and just plateau for a while.
Living with my girlfriend, we're only renting at the minute, trying to save for a house. So that aspect of it, trying to put some money away a month, that's difficult.
Deep cuts to disability benefits were announced last week, more today. Danielle's grandparents and auntie are disabled and she has concerns.
It's like the heating in the winter time, food and stuff like that, so it will definitely impact them greatly.
And those cuts to welfare are likely to be felt across the borough. According to the council, 17.8% of the population are registered disabled, including Mark, who receives personal independence payments.
They try to get you working, and like when you're on nebuliser for 4 times a day and you struggle to breathe and everything, like, it's going to be hard.
People that get away with it because they drink or drugs, and the genuine ones quite often don't get anything.
On the flip side, some on universal credit will be slightly better off. There's investment in defence spending, creating jobs, including in Barrow, and Angela Rayner's planning reforms are forecast to help the economy grow. But the 1st of April is price hike day, when many household bills go up. More expense for us to swallow. Annabel Tiffin, North West Tonight in Warrington.
Well, in her spring statement, the Chancellor also confirmed support for Barrow in Furness. She confirmed that the government's commitment to a £200 million regeneration fund, which was actually set up by the previous government. The 10-year investment is intended to support the creation of thousands of jobs in the shipyard in the town, where, of course, the defence company BAE Systems builds nuclear submarines.
When a town's been left behind for so long, the damage is done and it's deep. So this fund is set to transform, and that's what it's got to do at a grassroots level. So it's not tinkering about the edges. This is to actually really make a difference in people's lives.
Right, away from the spring statement, the Mayor of the Liverpool City region today rejected claims that the city has failed to plan for the impact of Everton's new waterfront stadium. Supporters attending the second test event at Bramley Moor Dock at the weekend complained of traffic jams, a lack of parking and too few trains. So is it a state-of-the-art stadium surrounded by infrastructure which is anything but? A question for Lindsay Prosser to explain.
The futuristic arena is an impressive new home for Everton Football Club, and fans attending the test event seem happy with the inside of their new stadium. But travelling there on public transport has not drawn the same praise. On Sunday, Everton fans complained of travel chaos and took to social media to air their concerns. Trying to get two elderly parents close to the ground is impossible. Congestion guaranteed. No research into traffic infrastructure. A few railings at the station and a massive parking ban. Amateur hour.
I was on the 11 o'clock train and you were penned in like cattle then. And to see when you were coming down your bottlenecks down here was an absolute disgrace. It's just a lack of planning.
Liverpool City Council has suspended its parking restrictions in the local area around the stadium, while travel to and from the ground continues to be assessed. Everton Football Club is paying for a bus service which will run from Liverpool City Centre during the football season and has financed improvements to the nearest train station. But the City Region's Mayor says a major overhaul of that station isn't possible.
The thing is about Sandhills is that what you're talking about at this moment in time is the redevelopment of a station that would only be at capacity for 4, 5, 6 hours every fortnight, and that means that the business case that you have to submit wouldn't pass muster.
Those involved in the test event at the weekend say they learnt valuable lessons about how there needs to be further changes to train services on match days to accommodate the fans. Trains will have more carriages and run more frequently, but fans say organisers have failed to take into account how attending football matches has changed over the years.
Nobody gets to Goodison Park at 5 to 3 anymore for Z cars. They get to football stadiums to soak up the atmosphere, take pictures, take videos, so the football clubs can generate as much cash as possible. So Everton fans will never be coming to the Bramley Moor Stadium after 1 o'clock. So why Mersey Travel implemented trains every 15 minutes after 1 o'clock is beyond me.
A third test event is expected, but a date has not yet been announced. Lindsay Prosser, BBC North West Tonight, Liverpool.
A court has heard that a prison governor from Wigan who was in financial trouble was given a Mercedes car by the drug dealer that she was having a relationship with after illegally approving his release. Kerry Pegg, who's 42, denies 2 charges of misconduct in a public office while she was in charge at HMP Kirkham in Lancashire. Prosecutors said that police found objects with traces of her DNA and that of prisoner Anthony Saunderson when they searched her home in Orrell. The trial continues. Now, as we mentioned last night while we were on air, MPs were giving final approval to Martin's Law, named after the Manchester Arena bombing victim, Martin Hett, and it's now set to receive royal assent within weeks. It'll tighten security measures against terror attacks at public venues and follows years of campaigning by Martin's mum, there on the right of the picture, Figan Murray.
It's training staff, for instance, that they know what to do in case something does happen. It will mean that people are better prepared in case of a terrorist attack, hopefully even prevent it from happening by being trained enough to recognise suspicious behaviour.
Now, as we also reported last night, the Isle of Man is set to become the first part of the British Isles to offer assisted dying following a landmark vote yesterday in its Parliament. We heard from politicians and campaigners, but 24 hours on, how are people living there reacting to what is a radical move? Well, Alex Blake has been getting opinions in Laxey today.
Known for its mining heritage, Laxey Village sits on the eastern coast of the Isle of Man. Strongly associated with the island's industrial past, its famous water wheel now one of the most iconic sites in the Manx landscape. While the area, though, is steeped in cultural history, conversations along its picturesque seafront are today focused on an issue at the forefront of political discussions across the British Isles.
You struggle with the rights and wrongs of it, but ultimately to not be able to do it and then have to go off to Switzerland or somewhere if you actually have the money to do that seems entirely wrong as well.
The assisted dying bill has now been agreed by the Manx Parliament, and it's clearly a subject people have been talking about.
As long as the protections are in place, and they're trying very hard to do that it's entirely right that we should have that sort of legislation in place.
My mum had quite a chronic bone crumbling and wasn't very mobile and was in a lot of pain for many years. And many a time she said if I could go, I would. And from my nursing background, over the 40 odd years I've been a trained nurse, I think that would be embraced by a lot of people, and it's a very good thing.
Most of us have got family members that have had difficult deaths and lived with very challenging illnesses. You know, if there's one thing that people deserve at the end of their life and as they approach the end of their life, it's dignity, and anything that can help to deliver more dignity, I think is just, it's so important.
A mate of mine a year ago had cancer. He was pretty bad. He had people coming in 3 times a day to give him injections with painkillers and some sort of chemo injections. And as he kept saying to his wife, why the hell don't they just let me die? He was in a lot of pain. You wouldn't let an animal suffer like that.
While here in Laxey we've heard broad support for assisted dying, there are still a number of hurdles to go through. The first being royal assent. After that, detailed codes of practice and regulations have to be drafted in secondary legislation to ensure the safeguards, the subject of long political debate, can be put in place. Alex Blake, BBC North West Tonight, Laxey.
Now, it is the busiest passenger and freight line in Europe. Not surprising then that the West Coast Main Line needs urgent maintenance work, and over the next few years there will be disruption as vital work is carried out along the 400-mile route between London and Scotland. And one of the first big projects gets underway shortly in Stockport. And as our transport correspondent Judy Hobson explains, it's not just the passengers who will be affected.
It looks like a regular roundabout, but as you can see here, Greek Street Interchange sits above the West Coast Main Line. The bridge beneath it was built in the late 1950s and it's seen better days. It's due to be completely dismantled and rebuilt, and that means shutting the roundabout for a year.
The bridge is from the parapet on my left all the way over. It's 53 metres wide. Most people didn't realise that this was a bridge. It's reached the end of its life and it needs to be replaced.
But it's going to cause chaos.
Yes, it is going to cause some disruption and we'd like to apologise for that, but it is essential for the safety of both road users and the railway.
Nearby businesses have been told they can stay open, and Stockport County fans should be aware it will affect traffic before and after home games. So what's going on under the bridge?
The railway is going to be shut at Easter for 3 days, and then again it's going to be shut in August for 21 days. During that time there will be rail replacement bus services and there will still be a service running from London to Manchester, just not as frequently.
This is part of a series of planned works on the West Coast Main Line. Details are yet to be announced, but engineers are expected to have to replace miles of overhead wires, track and signals stretching from London to Scotland. And this is just to keep the line going. It's not an upgrade.
Next 10, 15 years, we're going to be spending lots of money investing and maintaining that railway to keep it reliable and safe for the ongoing use of our passengers.
The West Coast Main Line is the busiest freight and passenger line in Europe, but much of the infrastructure hasn't been replaced for more than half a century. Some local politicians have said that's why HS2 should reach Manchester. It has, of course, been cancelled. Keeping this vital line going is a challenge for Network Rail and train operators, and passengers should brace themselves for the disruption that lies ahead. Judy Hobson, BBC North West Tonight, Stockport.
We have been warned. Now, if you've been watching, you'll know that 5 years ago we were just in the first days of the first COVID lockdown. So to mark that, we've been marking that anniversary. At the height of the pandemic, the owners of Blackburn's farm at Ray Green in Lancashire started to plant trees in memory of local people who had died with COVID. Today, there are more than 1,000 trees on the land, providing people with a space to reflect on those that they have lost.
The whole ethos behind it started during COVID. Seeing on the news channels people had no green open spaces to go to, and then we said, well, we've got that field in Ray Green, why don't we turn it into something special like a remembrance woods? And that's where it all began, really. It was kind of a place to remember but also celebrate life. We're not a graveyard, it's more of a place that you come to enjoy the green space and think about people that you've loved and lost.
I've been volunteering here at the Woods now for about 4.5, 5 years. And the trees are really starting to bud up now. It's a wonderful time of year as they start to grow. And to have that kind of meaning that you're planting a tree in memory of somebody, what a fantastic thing that is to do.
The most beautiful thing about it is it changes every year. Throughout the year, the different seasons, they look different. And we're starting now to sit under the shadow with some of the trees, whereas before we were towering over them as we planted them. Just a beautiful place to come.
The beautiful trees there at Blackburn's farm at Ray Green in Lancashire. Now, in just a few weeks' time, on May the 8th, it will be the 80th anniversary of VE Day. And this week, the Together Coalition charity launched a project to connect thousands of school children with surviving World War II veterans. Of course, their numbers are dwindling with every passing year. The children will get a letter from a veteran describing their wartime experiences, and the young people will then write back. Dave Guest has been to meet one of the veterans involved.
I had a cousin and he got killed.
Tom is bringing history to life in the classroom. He fought for king and country in Burma during the Second World War. He's now 103 years old.
What was your role during the war?
I was what they call a bombardier in the Royal Artillery. I was a wireless operator.
Tom had condensed his memories of wartime service into a letter that's being sent to school children across the country.
The war was a hard time and I had to grow up fast. I had to forget about home.
It's all part of a project to commemorate the 80th anniversary of VE Day.
We've created an initiative called VE Mail, where we're asking schools across the country to request a letter directly from a veteran, and they will be able then to write back to the veteran, showing their thanks and gratitude for all that they did.
The children of James Brindley Community Primary School in Worsley, Greater Manchester, are among the first to receive Tom's letter, and they're now busy replying.
Dear Tom, we appreciate everything you have done for us as a soldier in World War II.
You are so brave going to war when you were not even 18 years old.
An interesting fact, the day you realised we had won the war is 2 days before my birthday.
It's important our children learn how our history is made and those significant individuals that are really integral to that history being made.
And why do you think it's important that children of your age should hear what people like Tom have got to say?
Because we should be grateful about what they've done so we can be here today.
Would somebody of your age normally write a letter, though? Would you just send messages on your phone?
I wouldn't usually write a letter to my friends, but at school we do write a lot of letters in English.
So what did you think of the children today and the way they received you?
Really nice children. I've really enjoyed coming here today and to tell you people what it was like.
And Tom's letter concludes with one very important message for the next generation.
War is not glorious, it's terrible, truly terrible. So my message to you is to be kind and please choose peace.
Dave Guest, BBC North West Tonight, Worsley.
That's a great idea, isn't it, to keep those memories alive. Now, the motorcycle ridden by Barrow's hairy biker Dave Myers was auctioned for charity today. It went under the hammer at the National Motorcycle Museum, raising thousands of pounds, and there is a lovely story behind the successful bidder as well, as Rebecca Wood reports.
They came from around the country, hoping to ride home on a piece of motorcycling history.
That bike still has his DNA on it because he was on it and he's got his fingerprints. And yeah, I really, really hope that the person who gets it loves it.
This motorbike carried Dave Myers on his final journey as a hairy biker. He died from cancer last February. Today, his bike was auctioned at the National Motorcycle Museum near Solihull, with proceeds being split between 3 charities that were dear to his heart.
It would be nice if it did go to a rider, but who knows, it could be just a fan of the programme, somebody that obviously really liked Dave, but it could be a combination of all 3.
So, on to the bidding.
Going once, twice, third and final at £15,800.
For reference, that's about 3 times the price of a BSA Gold Star.
I am really, really happy to see this bike being loved. And I'm sure that the person who got it will love it as much as Dave did.
And so the hammer has come down on Dave's bike, raising thousands of pounds for charity. But who is the mystery bidder?
My name's Cy Harrison. Most people know me as Cy Harra. And I've just bought Dave Myers' BSA Gold Star. We've been such good mates, and I couldn't think of a bike that I'd rather be on. And the idea of riding in Dave's day meant so much to me.
So Dave's bike's coming home, and Cy can't wait to get behind the handlebars. Rebecca Wood, BBC North West Tonight.
That's fantastic. It's a lovely bit of machinery too, isn't it? Now, we've had a run of entertainers from Wigan lately, as you might know if you watch the programme. We had the actress Kim Marsh last night, we had the kids' TV star Hacker the Dog recently, indie band The Lathams. Well, tonight, blurring the borough lines a little, it's the lottery winners who are from Lee. They are set for another #1 album this week. They're going on tour with Robbie Williams this summer, who's their new best friend, all after grafting for years to get their big break. They must really feel like lottery winners. Here's Anna Jameson.
The Lottery Winners are one of the UK's most talked about bands. Playing here at Manchester Apollo, they're now on course for their second #1 album with their new record, Coco.
It stands for Keep On Keeping On, which is something that my family have said to me like throughout my life. So you've probably noticed that I'm a bit naughty. That's because I've got ADHD, but I didn't know what that was when I was a kid, so that just meant that I felt like I was naughty and broken, and I always felt like a bit of an alien.
And Tom's diagnosis inspires much of their music.
There's a lot of pressure put on kids. I remember being told at 15 years old that if I didn't do well in my GCSEs, then my life was over. You can't just say that to a 15-year-old kid. Do you know what I mean? They've got so much going on. People learn in different ways, and I'm on the brink of getting 2 #1 albums, actually, Mr. Rigby.
Now, where did this dance come from?
I just now let him just run with his ideas and say yeah. So he came in and said, I've had a dream. I had a lot of cheese last night and I've had a dream that we do this song and it's got dance moves and it's going to be like the Indie Cha-Cha slide because Indie's not got a Macarena, has it?
I can only apologise for what happened next.
And then it goes left, right, side to side, and then a point.
Oh, wait.
No, it's easy though, isn't it? Literally kids to do this.
The band have already teamed up with some impressive names, including Boy George, Reverend and the Makers, and now has struck up an unlikely friendship with Robbie Williams.
Yeah, he said to me that he'd watched everything we've ever done, like he had a real deep dive and just fell in love with the music and like the message, and that was a really, really special call, wasn't it? Like, I literally cried because at the end of it, he was just like, right, well, it was really nice chatting. I just want you to know that you're an incredibly special person. And I was like, what? What do you mean, Robbie Williams? What are you saying that for? And he's like, I just think that you're a really, really special person and that you're going to go so far and I really believe in you. And I was just like, oh my God, it like makes me fill up thinking about it, because he's obviously one of my idols. And yeah, and then now we're just mates, and sometimes I'm in Lidl and he'll FaceTime me. And I'm like, I'm in the middle aisle, do you want any flip-flops or a new hedge trimmer?
Annie Jameson, BBC North West Tonight.
He's a real character, isn't he? I went to Aldi. I was in the wrong discount supermarket to get a call off Robbie. Abby, how's the weather?
Well, we have seen it all today. We've seen a little bit of mist, a little bit of fog first thing, but it did lift, and then we saw blue skies and lots of sunshine with our temperatures once again above average. Thank you, as always, to our weather watchers for sending these photos in. If you do take a weather picture over the next few days and you would like to send it in to us, you might get it on the telly. You can send it in to North West Tonight directly to me on social media, or you can sign up and become one of our BBC Weather Watchers. The headline for tomorrow: we are going to see a little bit more cloud, variable cloud though, meaning that there will be some breaks. There will still be some brighter spells, and I think it is still looking mostly dry during daylight hours, but cloud thickening up tomorrow evening ahead of a bit of rain overnight into Wednesday. The rain overnight into Wednesday is in fact a cold front, so it will start to freshen up. Wednesday, what day are we on now? It's Wednesday today. So in my ear, somebody just said it's Wednesday. Thank you very much. Into Friday, it will freshen up. And Friday, I think, is going to be a cloudy day. We're going to start to see a little bit of patchy rain Friday too. Overnight tonight, overnight into Thursday, it will be fairly overcast. 1 or 2 spots of light rain, temperatures dropping off to 4 or 5 degrees Celsius. So a cool start to the day tomorrow, a fairly cloudy start, but there will still be some breaks, some brighter spells. That cloud will thicken up, though, as we head towards the end of the day. That's ahead of the rain that we're going to see overnight into Friday. Temperatures for tomorrow still above average, 14 or 15 degrees. But you can see we are moving into the blue zones on the air mass for Friday and for Saturday. Both days are going to feel a little bit cooler and fresher before we then enter back into the milder air mass Sunday and into the start of next week. We do have a big area of high pressure building in for next week. So not only will it be a little bit milder, it will also be dry and settled. Friday then is looking fairly overcast. We'll say showery outbreaks of rain. We could even see some of the showers falling as something a little bit wintry over the very tops of the hills, given the drop in temperatures. These will be our highs for Friday, anywhere between 8 and 11 degrees Celsius. Saturday will be a rather cool day as well, but both days this weekend are looking mostly dry, and then our temperatures rise through next week, so the start of April is looking relatively warm, Rog.
Sure about those days?
No, I've not got a clue.
It's normally me that gets the days. It's Thursday today. No,
it's Wednesday today.
It is Wednesday today. Yeah, no, it's normally me that gets the days muddled up. But, oh dear, I know exactly how you feel. It is Wednesday, and I will be here at 10:30 with the late news. I know that because it says so on my rotor. And Abby will be here with the forecast too.
I think, yeah.
Have a great evening. Thanks for watching. Good night.